computer. Okay, I'm recording. So, hey, it's Julie Nelson in Austin, Texas, and my good pal,
Valerie Crowell in Walnut Creek, California.
otherwise known as Bay Area.
Yeah.
So Valerie and I have been pals for some time, and we're both really, I think, founding members of the RPN. So we're excited to be part of that. And we decided instead of actually doing a class that we just wanted to do, Valerie is actually going to interview me, but I have proposed to her that we have a second taping, maybe in a couple months, where I'm going to interview her on her topic of choice. And I think I'm also going to propose that when we do that, when I interview Valerie, that there's actually adult beverages involved. So
that one's going to go off the rail, whether there is or isn't.
Right, exactly. But today it's the middle of the afternoon. We're beverage free. So okay, so we're happy. We're like kind of officially and unofficially starting this speaker series for RPN.
Awesome.
So here we are. So Valerie's actually technically going to interview me, but the reality is that we love to just kind of yak and chat about things business related, and so we're just going to kind of dive into it. That's the plan.
Yeah, we're going to go off the rails probably today too, but in a different way. Definitely in a different way.
All right. So what's our plan? What's our plan today? And then we'll just get at it.
Get after it. Well, of course, we're going to talk about your book, Success Faster,
Right
which
on.
you have rewritten.
Yeah. Because that's what I talk about all the time. So here.
Yeah. So now it's Success Faster on Fire Hot.
Hot.
And actually, I really like the rewrite a lot. I was going to tell you that. It's pretty much in your voice. It's easy to read because it's in your voice. It doesn't get all wonky and technical and dry and boring, which is awesome.
Yeah.
So all of that. And yeah, I owe you a review, whatever.
Thank you. Please. Yeah. So yeah, thanks. It was, I wrote the first one three years ago, which is Success Faster, Quickly Launch or Relaunch a Real Estate Career. Right. But as just over the last few years, as I was teaching a lot of that material, and I realized that there was a lot more to say. Imagine that. I know that you have a lot to say, and I had a lot more to say, and agents need help. There are a lot of agents out there that are just kind of stuck in the middle, or can't find that sweet momentum and stay there. I mean, I think most of us can relate to that. So that's what's behind. Really, it's not really volume 2, but it's the new really reiteration of just getting your business on track, which means when you get your business on track, you get your bank account on track, which really means you get your life on track or to the next level. And there's all sorts of sexy that goes on with that, right?
It's amazing how many problems are solved by a couple of transactions back to back.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah.
So the title of our session is your fastest route to the next 10 clients. And we're going to talk about your recently published, you're a bestseller already.
It hit bestseller.
On Fire Hot.
Awesome.
So is that really one topic or two?
Well, it's interesting. So the gaining your next 10 clients quickly, I thought, well, I mean, you and I could talk about anything, and we can talk about the book, but it's like, look, it's not about me, and it's really not about the book. At the end of the day, it's about how can we best help agents, and what it comes down to is lining up those next clients. If you have no clients, it's how do we line up the next 3 to 5? If you have some clients, but maybe some inconsistency, it's how do we get consistent with that? If maybe your pipeline's okay, but you're really trying to get to that next level, it's like, wait a minute, how can how can we line up your next 10 clients as quickly as possible? And I do want to hit that really practically. I mean, give folks some real practical tips, but it's like, it's interesting. The topics are the same, because in here it's like, no, let's do our best to not overcomplicate this business. Right?
Oh no, let's make it as complicated and as convoluted as we possibly can.
Oh my God, because we could talk about everything and anything, but the reality is that at the end of the day, how's your pipeline?
Right, because if you don't have somebody to sell a house to, you're not really a house seller.
It doesn't matter your marketing, your new logo, your listing presentation, your blog.
Your headshot, my favorite. How's my headshot? Who cares? You don't have any business.
Right. It's like, and that stuff, of course, that stuff's fun to deal with. We like that, but there's, and I think there's an entire chapter of this in the book, but when we're talking about your next 10 clients and moving your business forward, there's all the sexy stuff in your real estate business. And then there's the not so sexy stuff in your real estate business. And we have a tendency to lead with the sexy. We have a tendency to just lead with everything else. And that's like that headshot and ooh, I think I want a new logo, or, all of that. It's like,
how's this font?
How's this font?
Nobody's reading it. It doesn't matter.
Well, and it's like, I'm as guilty as the next person. I mean, I mean, seriously, like I do, like, what's your favorite font, right? It's like, no, and we're not going to go there. It's like, no, how's the pipeline and how are you doing as a business professional to stay on top of that and prioritize that and make sure that thing is anchoring every business day of yours. When it was about 3 years ago that I relaunched my business, because I had been the director of training at in a really big office, right? We'll be brand agnostic in this conversation.
Yeah.
And then I decided to leave the staff position and I relaunched my business, right? So after who knows how many years I've been in the business, this is my 21st year. You've been I've
been selling for 12. I've been in the industry for 45.
Yeah. Numbers. But when I relaunched my business, I literally had a sticky note. And so how to line up your next 10 clients quickly. So here's practical action number 1 is I literally had a Post-it note, like right on the edge of this monitor right here, that said, Julie, what is your fastest route today to a lead, client, contract, or paycheck? Do that thing first.
Right.
We're kind of like, do that thing first, damn it. Right. But it's like, because I knew, I understood that concept of, Julie, nothing else matters, but are you lining up your next few clients all the time?
Right. Because if you're not, you're screwing around on a computer all day.
You're playing with fonts, You're designing a new logo. You're spending hours on an Instagram strategy class,
For what? Yeah.
And all of those things matter, and they don't.
Right. You got to do the dollar productive activities first.
Yeah. And that's not the most interesting aspect of our business.
It's not fun either.
It's work. It's work. So lining up your next 10 clients quickly is 1, like really gut check yourself on, am I prioritizing the most important thing in my business? And am I consistent with that? You don't have to be perfect, but you have to build some consistency into that.
Absolutely.
It's kind of like if your work week is, let's say it's a 5-day work week and Saturday's designed to, well, okay, so it's a 6-day work week, but let's talk 5. Hopefully it's not a 7. Please take a day off, right?
Yeah.
But if it's a 5-day work week, I always kind of like to say to myself, Julie, you better have nailed that one activity 4 out of the 5 days on most weeks.
Right.
And I know that if I do that, I'm actually doing a decent job of tending to my pipeline.
Right.
Perfect.
Yeah.
The perfect goal, it's like, no, have some grace around that. But what do they say? Progress beats perfection. So
Oh, absolutely.
yeah. So if you're completely inconsistent with that, what would you say when I say the topic, like line up your next 10 clients as quickly as possible? What comes to mind for you?
Well, actually, when you're saying it to me right now, what I'm thinking is because I took my foot off the gas thinking, as you know, I got double knee replacement coming in my very, very, very near future.
Soon.
And I took my foot off the gas thinking that my surgery was going to be at the end of January because that's really where it should have been. I'm shut down again. My surgery is probably pushed out till April, May. And my foot was off the gas. And I'm like, God.
By design, your foot was off the gas by design.
Right. But it's like, as we're talking today, and actually your book is sitting, and I'm like, I need to read that again. I need to go through that because I am in a different place where I expected to be right now. I expected to be receiving daily calls from Kaiser going, are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? Are you ready yet? And, here's my phone. It's not ringing. They should write a country song about that, And so I'm sitting here going, I could get 10 deals closed easily before Kaiser calls me. And it's like, I got to implement this myself right now because my foot was off the gas.
Yeah. But at least by design, and that's such a critical, it's like having your foot off the gas just because you weren't paying attention or you weren't being a good boss in your own business. Right. That's one thing. And most of us have been there.
Guilty.
Guilty. We've all made that mistake many times, and hopefully we learn and get better. I have a theory with kind of your next, I have numerous theories, but I want to be really practical. So lining up your next 10 as quickly as possible. And here's, I guess, concrete tip number 2 is this right here. Okay.
That thing's scary. I don't want to touch it.
Right.
Although I think if I turn mine around, it says 1220.
Oh, right. But here's the deal with this. It's like your next 10 clients are probably in your phone right now.
Oh, yeah.
It's someone you know or someone that they know. So they're all right here. And guess what? It doesn't really, and you could debate me on this if you want to, but I'm not going to let anyone debate this on me.
Okay, let's go.
You could find them for free. You don't need a marketing budget.
I'm not gonna argue with that because it's like I tell, the new agents in my office all the time. They're like, well, you need this. You don't need nothing. You need to pick up the phone, call your friends, ask them who they know, who's looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate.
Yes. And there are a lot of ways to do that, but we're going to do all the free stuff first.
Right.
And then do it again, and then do it again. The reality is that most of us need very little marketing budget.
Confession?
Yeah.
I have never spent any money on marketing. Yeah. It's like I'm now running a geographical farm, which I do have to pay for, the nice design stuff that we pay for that we hand deliver up until, last year. Yeah. But, because we can't legally, but, it's like, I don't pay for it. I pay for my client parties, and I
Yes.
throw really elaborate client parties,
Yeah.
and postage occasionally.
Yeah.
And the postage only goes to my sphere.
Yeah. So for the most part, well, and because you have a referral based business, I believe.
Right.
As do I. Now there are agents that, well, and actually statistically, the majority of agents do.
Yes.
And so that's really what we're talking about. So there's some of our listeners may be in a different niche that really is dependent on a marketing budget. And I get that. But the reality is that, gosh, I think it's safe to say that 80% of the agents out there really have a very, very much a referral based sphere and personal based business.
That they don't utilize.
And that's why it's like, it's all in here. Your next 10 clients are here for I think I would argue that most anyone listening right now, that's where they are. So it's like your fastest route to your next 10 clients is to simply clear your schedule and, let's say, a minimum of 2 hours a day for the next 2 weeks.
Julie, what am I going to talk to them about? I mean, I'm in California. We're completely locked down. We can't do anything except for essential real estate tasks right now.
Well, and I think that's interesting because those are, I think you're into your next round of COVID care calls, unless you've been making those all along.
Guilty. I am making, well, I didn't make them while they were opening us back up, but now that we've had this lockdown and people are just like, and they're figuring out what it means. I mean, everybody ran around and got their last pedicure and their last haircut for they don't know how long over the weekend. I mean, my gal worked from 7:30 to 9:30 both days.
Wow, that's interesting.
So that's kind of what's going on. So now I call, and it's a little different because before we were the only ones that could go out. Nobody else could even go out. Without, they hadn't opened. It's like everything, it was like done, shut it down.
Yeah.
And the calls I made once we could go out was, hey, Julie, it's Valerie Crowell. I was just calling, I was thinking about you. I just wanted to let you know that real estate has been determined to be essential and I can get out and about. So if you need me to go grab something for you, I'm more than happy to do that.
For you or your neighbor or your mom who needs help. Yeah.
Exactly. If there's anything I could do, just call me. I've got a lot of resources. I'd be more than happy to help you out.
Those are great calls. And
easy call.
Yeah. And you're really not even bringing up business.
I'm not, but what happens when I make those calls is 3 to 6 weeks later, same person calls me back and they said, hey, my brother wants to buy a house. We just saw the interest rates drop again. Let me help your brother.
Yeah. And you can post some like real estate content during the time, but I think content that would be meaningful to those folks. Like it might be an article on what really is going on with real estate in your area, so they're seeing that and it's top of mind. Yeah. Now, Austin, so I'm in Austin, Texas. Here's one of the dynamics that's happening in Austin right now is the majority of my buyers this year have been from your dear state.
Yeah, I haven't had anybody go to Austin. I've had 2 to Idaho, 3 to Arizona.
Ah, okay. Yeah. So listeners, your fastest route to your next 10 clients is you really have to think about the dynamics of your market and where are people moving from or to in your area. So in this case, whoops, turn that off. In this case, in Austin, one of the best things I can do to line up my next 10 clients is to talk to all of my California people. Right. Hey, Valerie, I just wanted to check in. All of my buyers this year have been from California. So it's probably not a matter of if, but a matter of when you hear of someone moving here. So I just want to put that bug in your ear. And and I'd love to be your go-to person. How are things going? Tell me about your lockdown latest. That's that conversation.
I'm shocked I haven't had anybody go to Austin, because it's got to be next, because, I could see the trends to Austin too.
We're popping. We are hopping. It's the most aggressive sellers market I've been in 21 years. And
Wow. Yeah. Wow.
So in your area, where is the influx? Where's the influx? Or if there's more of an outflow, just get it out there and make sure people know that you will do the legwork to find a really good realtor for them in that other area. About 25 to 30% of my business right now has a realtor referral attached to it.
Yeah, that's about how I run too.
And I'm okay with that because, again, I'm not spending any money on marketing.
Right.
And those leads are like as near to 100% conversion as you can get.
Yeah.
Those are very high conversion. You're typically not, you're not even interviewing for the gig. You're just being introduced to people who need you.
Right. Exactly.
So your next 10 clients as quickly as possible. I think really getting serious about your schedule and making sure that there's at least a couple hours every day carved out for that foundational task in your business. And you can run a squirrel farm the rest of the day, right? And I have a lot of experience with that, right? But I can't for 2 hours a day.
Yeah.
It's like, I'm not the most disciplined person in the world. I don't know about you. You go to the gym all the time. I think that you're disciplined because I see that you're disciplined with your workout. But even like with that aspect of my business, I'm not the most disciplined person in the world, but I need to be 4 days a week. I'm really good with tending to my pipeline.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
It works.
Exactly. And, I mean, part of it is, and I went through this process myself with my coach is, I'm a competitive power lifter. I hold something like, I don't know, 30 world records, American records, state records, all that good stuff. And I was like, why am I so good at that? And I can't pick up the freaking phone and call somebody that already knows me and likes me. And so I actually started approaching it the same way, because, the way I work out, to do that, most people spend an hour and a half in the gym. I don't have an hour and a half to hang out in the gym. I have about 45 minutes, maybe 50 on a good day. So I have to go in there, be extremely efficient, make the best of it. I'm not busy talking to Joni, the aerobics instructor, I'm in there, I do what I got to do, and I get out. And it's like, well, what would happen if I applied that to lead generating?
Yeah. Well, and it's just work. That's just work.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing, right? Really?
Yeah. It's the most important part of your work. I think our greatest joy is in helping our clients create the right solution in their life and finding fabulous properties or selling and moving on. And that's a big deal. And that's, for most of us, that's why we do what we do.
Oh yeah. Somebody excited about their new house. There's nothing better than that.
There's nothing better than that.
No, I mean, it's huge, and it's a huge life change for them. And even if it's, because it's like we deal with some sadness ones too.
Mm-hmm.
I just got through with this gal's the only one left of all the brothers and sisters and all her brother-in-laws, sisters-in-laws. She's the last one left. Mm. So we just got that closed, and it took us a little while to get going because she was so sad about it. But once it was done, she was like, I'm really happy how everything turned out, and I'm glad I chose you. And what she doesn't know is I'm having a photo of the house painted for her.
Oh, that's so cool. That's
Yeah.
really awesome stuff. So think about this. So here's so fastest route to your next 10 clients. This is related to what you just said, is take inventory of when you're working with a client. Cause sometimes we might work with them for 6 months, depending on the situation, right? You were talking to her for a long time before she was ready, it sounds like.
Yeah. I started in January. We closed last week.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So all year, right?
Yeah.
So take inventory. It's like, how often and how purposeful are we asking for referrals during that entire time that we're working with them? Or do we
Yeah.
feel like we have to like totally earn our way to ask that question later in the process?
I struggle with that one.
And are we asking it right at the beginning? So for example, just with a buyer consult, if you have kind of a list of questions that you always want to make sure, or a buyer or a seller, and you have kind of your list of questions that drives you through that consultation. Now, a lot of us who have a lot of experience, we don't have to look at that list anymore,
Right.
but you have your list. I will still print that list out and I'll have it in my folder. So let's say I'm going to my appointment to consult with my new client. And I actually have my list of questions in the folder. I just don't have to look at them anymore.
Right.
But right towards the end of the appointment, I pull out my list and I'll say, give me just a second. Let me review my list real quick. And I want to make sure I haven't forgotten anything that's important. Now, they're like, ooh, she has a system. So that looks good. But literally, I can kind of glance at it. And it's usually these few questions kind of at the end of the list that I tend to forget to ask.
Right.
And one of those is simply, oh, hey, I forgot to ask you this. Hey, my business is all referral, word of mouth. Is there anyone else you know who's talking real estate right now that you could introduce me to?
Yeah.
And I've asked that on the initial one, and then I'll listen to their answer. And then I even slightly joke a little bit with a little smile on my face. I'll say, I'm going to ask you this question every once in a while as we're working together.
Right.
Just because that's the way my business works. And you smile, they're like, okay, I get it. Great. So you've asked at the very beginning. And so what if you actually ask that question numerous times throughout the whole process? Do you think it would add more people to your pipeline?
Would you think it would activate their reticular activator?
It would activate their RAS for sure.
So, what I do a lot of times when I'll get them in contract is I'll say, you know what, now that I've got you in contract, it's like, you're moving to the next phase, Julie. I just wanted to let you know, I have immediate seating for one in my car. Who do you know?
Oh, that's great. Say that again. That's a great line. Say it again.
Now that I've got you in contract, I've got immediate seating for one. Who do you know that I could help?
Oh, that's really great.
Yeah.
That's
and
really
it's like, then the way I say it, it's kind of a joke. It's kind of fun, but they're like, oh yeah, you're not driving me around and you're out of work, and sometimes I'll say it like that too. I'm out of work now that you're not in contract. I mean, I got other things to do, but I still got to go look at houses. Who do you know wants houses?
Well, and even having that list in my folder, it increases the likelihood that I don't forget to ask that question early on in the process. Because if I don't ask it then, it's like, oh man, I didn't ask him that question. And honestly, it's one of the most important things I can do in my business. And I forgot to ask that question. It's like, Julie, really? So again, your fastest route to your next 10 clients, it's closer than you think. You may just need just a few little steps in your system so that you confirm that up and increase the likelihood that you're actually remembering to ask that question.
Oh, absolutely. And a lot of times it's like, Julie, we're sitting here because, whoever referred you to me, gave you my information, and that's how I do business. So what I'd like to ask you to do, there we go.
Yeah.
Easy piece.
Yeah.
You're one of your other friends, because what I find is not, it's like your group of people is in a space where this is happening.
Yeah. To be purposeful with that, and recognize
Absolutely.
that we all have room. When you look at these foundational pieces of our lead generation efforts, you think, oh, wait a minute, I could be more purposeful with each of those. And you start adding that up, and like your pipeline before versus your pipeline now, you start seeing more consistency, more maturity, more reliability. It's a healthier pipeline. And if you can manage that healthier pipeline, it absolutely will start showing up in your bank account.
Okay, and when your bank account is healthy, it's really easy to just do the business and not be worried all the time.
Yeah, the worry factor.
Oh, that's brutal.
Yeah. An inconsistent pipeline is really stressful.
I think it kills people.
Well, it can rob you of a lot of the joy of this business.
Oh, absolutely.
So we do ourselves and our families and our significant others, right? Or just ourselves, but we really do ourselves a big favor by investing in that. One of my favorite lines, and this was from a top coach in the country. And he said, and now I say it all the time, but he said, your job is, and of course he would say, stop overcomplicating this business. He said, your job description is this: have conversations with people about real estate.
That's it. Yeah.
So if you say, so there's a simple, if you want to kind of increase your accountability or increase your discipline, that could be the only thing that you track. It's like, how many real estate conversations did I have today? Not with an existing client, unless it was a purposeful lead gen conversation with them.
Right.
But it's like, no, did you have any quality conversations today with someone about real estate? And if the answer is no, you may as well have taken the day off.
You didn't work that day.
You did not work that day.
Yeah.
Now you may have
run around and done a bunch of dumb stuff, but you didn't work.
Well, you may have even been at your desk and your laptop all day, but stop. We need to stop fooling ourselves that we really truly worked that day, and redefine work. It's like, look, there's busy, there's everything, and there's work. Work is, did I have any conversations with anyone today about real estate?
That's the thing about this business. It's like nobody believes our own bullshit better than we do. It's like I buy what I'm selling all the time.
Right, exactly. Okay, let's wrap this up because we really like to respect people's time.
Okay.
And
well, how would you, let's go with this. How would you summarize getting 10 clients quickly?
Okay, so let's see. And then it's your turn. They're here. That's number one. Number two is 2 hours a day. Number three is asking more often and more purposely for referrals. Number four is being disciplined with your schedule. And I like to say, line up the good days. So did I work today or not, with that focus on a quality. It takes a quality conversation that day to be able to say, I worked today.
Yeah.
Okay. So how would you answer that question?
Getting 10 clients quickly, I would, well, for me, oddly, whenever I give something back to the community, business shows up. So I would, first I'd get on the phone just check in with people. And I mean, right now, especially because of what's going on out here, I would check in with people. That would be number one. See how they're doing. Offer to bring them whatever they needed, help out in any way. I would probably take a second hit. I'd make sure I talked about an article that I'd read when I was talking to them. Hey, I saw this thing, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So I had something to send to them. So I had that second touch.
Yeah.
And rinse and repeat.
Yeah.
Just rinse and repeat
Yeah.
until I had enough business that I could scale it down to, because if I didn't have any business, you know, and then what do I lead generate for 2 hours and then watch reruns of what? Or I could rinse and repeat and call more people.
If you have no business, it's not 2 hours a day. If you have no business, it's 6 to 8 hours on the phone today. It's you talk to every single person you possibly can. And don't forget your closest people: mom, dad, sister, brother, BFFs, former boss. It's like, no, your closest people sometimes are your greatest. Well, they can be your greatest advocate too. And when was the last time you actually asked them to help you, or are you just assuming that they know?
Right, exactly. And you never know who they're referring to either. You know, it's like I closed 2 or 3 deals this year referred to me by a lender I do business with.
Yeah. Lender, stager.
Exactly. Those guys, all, you know, they run into people that are looking to buy or sell houses, contractors, you know.
Yeah. Well, and it's easier to have a business conversation with those folks because it can be all business. They get it. That's not, those aren't the personal calls. So I want to wrap it up with a couple things. One, of course, I always want to pitch the book. This is, I promise you, it really cuts through the bullshit and helps you move your business forward. You can find it on Amazon. If you go to onfirehot.com, and I can't believe that URL was available, but it is.
Wow.
On Fire Hot. Yeah, I had to make sure that it wasn't something racy. Onfirehot.com will take you direct to the Amazon page. And the other thing is that Valerie and I are going to do this again, maybe in a couple months, but where I'm going to interview her, and warning, it may go off the chain.
Well, you know, if we wait a couple of months, there's a good chance that I will have been through the surgery and I'll be on opiates.
Oh, let's do that. Yeah, that sounds fun. Okay, very good. I'm gonna click on the end here. So thanks, RPN. This was
Everybody.
really fun. We'll see you around.